Hello, you magical humans. I'm Chloe Rose, founder and creatrix of Mystic Hearts. And last week I recorded a video called How I Rescued Myself from Being a Shell of a Human by Choosing Love and Magic. It was interesting because it was just a very impromptu video. There was like this message that wanted to come through about how when we're not choosing ourselves fully, it can age us physically. I mean, isn't that crazy? But after I recorded and shared that video, I realized that such a huge component and part of that whole story of me rescuing myself from an unhappy relationship and just changing my life around and embodying the witch and embodying my magic, I just didn't even talk about one of the main components of that. And as I'm sharing this now, it's funny because I'm getting downloads as to why that happened. So the video that I shared on Friday was very much like about love and magic. What I'm going to share with you today is all about the dark side and what that means. Because today I'm going to be sharing with you a vulnerable story, but also about how I met Lilith and how she single-handedly activated my own witch awakening, also stripped back the bullshit filter around spiritual conditioning and spiritual bypassing and the spiritual community in general, and helped me to finally have the strength to leave a relationship that was not serving my highest and best good, despite friends and people around me telling me that I was, in a relationship that was good for me and all of this stuff. She helped me to go against all odds, to put myself first, and within that, a total unraveling of conditioning and belief systems and just a complete and utter falling apart. Like, she helped to push me into the fiery pits of transformation to rebuild myself like never before. And I've been reflecting a bit on why I haven't shared about this. Well, I am someone who is mindful about what I share with my community and with people who I care about and people that I know who look to me maybe for advice or support or just inspiration or even just entertainment. I'm still very mindful about what I share. I don't want to share anything that's dangerous or misleading, first and foremost. And second of all, hopefully those of you who know me now and who have been here for a while, subscribe to my channel, you'll know that I always share things that I have had a personal and direct experience with myself. I will share my opinions on other things about coming from my heart, my heartfelt opinions, but I won't share deeply about anything that I haven't had a direct and ongoing experience with. And I feel why this is now, I'm really starting to talk more about the dark feminine and in particularly Lilith, because I've been on my own journey with her. And when you're on this inward dark journey, it's not always helpful and proactive to externally express it until you've reached a certain point where you've integrated some of what's going on and it doesn't feel like such a whirlwind. But I do feel now that it's time to share and also just acknowledge and give gratitude for this amazing guide and energy that has been in my life. And it's, you know, it's been a real sort of light bulb moment of realization of allowing myself to open up to some more darker concepts of spirituality, if you like, even though that word now kind of gives me the ick. Yeah, some of the darker concepts of the world, and exploring those, and the power that can be found in the depths of darkness. So, trigger warning, I will be talking about I will be talking about Lilith. So if you are someone who is religious, you may not find this a comfortable space to be in. I am going to be talking about experiences with plant medicine, in particular with ayahuasca. So if that's something, again, you're not comfortable with, this is just your warning. I'm not going to be sharing anything particularly vulnerable. So yeah, there won't be any trauma triggers here, but I'm going to be talking about some esoteric topics that may not align with your belief system and may be a little bit uncomfortable or risque for you to hear, and that's okay. I am here to break the chains, and I am here to help you break through fear and conditioning, and perhaps start questioning some of the things you've been told that are right and true. So, first of all, I will talk about Lilith and my experience of her. So, Lilith is a dark goddess. She is also known as the mother of demons. That is her name. And I like that title because it's like the mother of darkness. And I don't believe in heaven and hell, personally. I believe in different vibrations and frequencies and parallel universes as well. I don't believe in heaven and hell. I don't believe in God and the devil. Ooh, controversial, I know. I do believe that there is a one true source of all that is the divine, loving, creative source of all that is. And I do believe that there are negative, if you like that word, or dark entities and spirits who feed off of our energy and other people's energy, and they could be called parasitic entities. But I wouldn't call that the devil or demons, but you could compare very, very dark forces that want to infiltrate your mind and take over from you. That could be like devil work. I believe it to be more of a dark programming and this sort of parasitic black hole energy that is trying to take us away from the true full expression of who we are. And that's totally individual to each and every one of us. So that being said, Lilith, and I believe, well, I identify as a witch, a woman who is in total control of herself. I also wrote down this other little witch meaning, which I really liked. Womb intuition that creates harmony. That is a witch, a woman in total control of herself. I do identify as that. So therefore I do work with goddess energy. But Lilith is who I want to talk about today. So let's talk about the mother of demons. What I like about Lilith is I see her as like the mother of black sheep, the goddess of black sheep, the the leader or the supporter or the guide for those who feel like they've been ostracized or pushed out of society, who feel alienated, who feel misunderstood. She's the mother of that. And if that makes me a demon, then so be it. She is destructive. She is powerful. She does not follow the rules. She makes her own. She is a force to be reckoned with, and she will make you see the truth beyond the veil. If you're wondering what I'm stirring, it's my little cauldron of hot chocolate. So cheers. I have a very ugly mug, so let's just hide it with my nails. There are some religions where Lilith is considered evil and is connected to the devil. That's absolutely fine. That is absolutely fine. But like I said, from my own experience of working with her, for me, it has been the most powerful force in terms of a guide that I've experienced in my whole life, in a positive, loving, and healing and transformative direction. So I'll just offer you that. And I mention this in all of my videos, but I truly mean it. Please receive this with an open heart and an open mind, and feel into the energies of the words that I say, because you have free will and sovereign choice to choose what resonates with you and leave the rest. And that's also a message of Lilith. Free will choice. Free will choice. We get to choose. We don't have to follow the status quo. We're told that we do, but actually we are so much bigger and more powerful than that. We are liberated through our authenticity and liberated through our own choices. And yeah, and also I think I've spoken about this before with the dark feminine, so I, of course, connect Lilith to the dark feminine. I call her a goddess or a deity. She is someone who I call upon as a personal guide. And she is a dark feminine guide. And if you're interested in learning more about the dark feminine, I have, I think, 2 or 3 long format videos where I talk about the feminine archetypes and what is the dark feminine. But just to reconfirm that, like, yes, I dress dark. I always wear black. There's a few reasons for that. So I wear black because I like to wear my darkness on my sleeve. I like to own my darkness. Also, black is a very protective colour. So when you're doing energy work, it can be really protective. There's black crystals like obsidian, very, very good for energy protection. So it's partly those reasons, but partly because this has always been my true aesthetic. I can share, if anyone wants me to, if you're watching this, I can share some photos of me as a teenager. Like, every time I'm doing something now or going through something, I'm like, this is in honor to teenage Chloe, because she was like so badass, so rebellious, just trying to find her way in life. And I love that version of me. But this has just been always how I choose to show up in the world. When I show up like this, I feel freaking amazing. I feel sexy, I feel badass, I feel empowered. And I've always loved heavy metal music. Like, this is just my vibe. This is my vibe. I'm not trying to fit into a stereotype of looking like a witch or dressing for the dark feminine. Like, this is just my style. And I think some people might get a bit put off by that or intimidated by that with working with the dark feminine. Like, it doesn't mean that you'll suddenly start wearing black lipstick and black clothes and dye your hair black. Like, absolutely not. Something that might happen, though, and probably could happen, is you may, because when you're working with divine feminine energies, you start like getting more into your body and really wanting to take care of yourself. So you may find this urge and inspiration to start dressing in a way that makes you feel sexy and empowered and great about yourself. And it just so happens that this is it for me. The darker the better. Getting my nails done, like just little things like that just make me feel really awesome. So that could be an antidote of working with the dark feminine, but it's not, you don't have to worry about this, it's aesthetic. You're not going to suddenly wake up and become a goth if you choose to work with Lilith or any of the other dark feminine goddesses. Like, and they're, the dark feminine is across all cultures beliefs. You've got like Kali, Hecate, even Isis I see is like the mother of darkness. There's so many, and you can tune into what resonates with you. And this is where I wanted to weave in talking about Lilith, because she has been winking at me, let's say, for I would say about 5 years now, winking at me. And by winking at me, I mean she's been showing me little signs, like the word Lilith has been coming up, and in all different ways. Let me just have a sip. So I remember when I was really into astrology, dark moon Lilith, like my placement in that kept coming up, and I was like, I don't know what that means, but I really like the energy of that, because it's like the dark moon and that dark energy, that dark feminine energy. But it was almost like this trail of breadcrumbs, and then I watched a TV series and it had this Lilith character in it, and she's like so powerful and so destructive but so beautiful and kind of fucked up, but also just has this like motherly love in her heart. And then so there were lots of little moments like that, and then I kept seeing people or hearing people talking about the dark feminine, and it, you know, so it was something that I had in my awareness and always been very myself personally interested in the darker side of life. Like I've always been fascinated with like death and rebirth and decay, and you know, the real dark side of that earthly energy has always been like really something that's really fascinated with me, and I've always just felt like quite weird and alternative, and I never really realized that it could probably have been the influence of Lilith and this dark feminine energy working through me, but also the witch awakening that was just trying to bubble up to the surface of me. And I'm very much in alignment with traditional witchcraft, which is not Wicca, and it's not occult, but I do find both of those very interesting, and I'm always expanding my knowledge. I love learning across belief systems and across knowledge systems. I find that really fascinating. But yeah, for me, traditional witchcraft, which is connecting to the elements, and it's very much more of a wild path. So there's been all of these breadcrumbs, as I said, but when I really met Lilith face to face for the first time, it was in a very unexpected place. And I'm going to share with you a personal story now. And it's not something that I have really wanted to share or felt called to share. So I'm going to tell you about one of my experiences in an ayahuasca ceremony. And why have I not shared about this? Well, first of all, I don't like to show off about my plant medicine experiences. It's something that's very sacred to me, and it's something that has absolutely helped my own journey of self-knowledge. and my mental health journey massively. But it's not something that I want to show off about. It's not something that I feel gives depth of character to someone as an individual. It's just an incredible tool for those who seek it. So yeah, I don't really want to talk about it, and I don't really want to advertise it and encourage people to do it, because it's so important that you are doing it for the right reasons and doing it with the people who you can trust to really take care of you, and doing it in a respectful way of working, because these plants have spirits too. So it's spirit work, it's energy work, it's a lot. And the third reason why I haven't spoken a lot about my ayahuasca experiences, I do feel like I'm going to share more about them, but it's because they're a very deep and personal journey, and sometimes there's just some things that don't need to be shared. They stay powerful and sacred and sovereign when we keep those things to ourselves. And I know I'm always talking about relationships and my love life, but I do feel like that's a part of my path with working with the divine feminine. But there are certain personal things about myself that I will never share. I will keep them secret and safe and sovereign. But this story today is not particularly personal, but it's very interesting. And I have been speaking with Lilith over the last few days, and yeah, she gave permission for me to share this story. I shared it with a couple of friends. So yeah, I'm going to share it with you now. So to cut the longer story short, back in 2024, I went to Peru for 2.5 weeks with a beautiful, incredible group of women for a women's womb healing retreat with multiple plant medicines, and women only, which was just fabulous because it just gave that extra level of safety and also, of course, divine feminine energy. And what I find funny is that, a lot of people, when they talk about ayahuasca or talk about these master plant medicines, is they say that they have this like direct experience with God and unity consciousness and all of this like very high vibration experience. I would say my experiences were a lot darker. I feel like I was more taken down into the womb of the earth and taken down into the depths of my soul to meet my darkness. And I love that for me. I did kind of go there with these expectations of having, out of body experiences, of like becoming like sacred geometry and feeling the interconnectedness of everything. But I've already had experiences like that, and the medicine that I needed was stillness and going really deep into the depths of myself. And so, of course, at this time, I was in the relationship, the relationship that I was uncertain about. And there had been a few instances and experiences where I had wanted to end the relationship, but I hadn't had the strength and I didn't feel like I had the support system to go ahead with it. So I went to Peru feeling quite uncertain, and just a little bit like discombobulated about the whole relationship. And I had one night where I was thinking about my ex and, just thinking about a relationship when you're in this space of basically you sit in a room in pitch black for like 8 hours with the medicine. No one's allowed to talk to each other. There's just the shaman singing Icaros. So you're very much in your own energy and headspace, and thinking about a relationship with all that space. And I asked the spirit of ayahuasca, you know, what should I do about my relationship? Like, is this relationship in alignment with me? And something interesting happened. The voice that came through in my head said, you need to surrender to love. You need to surrender to love. And at the time, I was like, oh my God, the whole relationship, it's all my fault. I just need to surrender to love and open my heart and everything's gonna be okay. Wounded feminine, people pleasing, putting the blame on me. So that was really interesting. So that was almost like a little test. And then so this was a different night. I did six ceremonies in total. And I think it was the second to last one. I was bleeding and I was in the ceremony and I was like, oh, I just want to be asleep right now. But the fabulous thing was that I just lay down and surrendered to the medicine. And this was when I met Lilith. I just remember dropping into my womb space very quickly because my body was feeling heavy and in pain and I was just bleeding everywhere. There's not much you can do other than just surrender to that. And I remember at that time that my visions were very, very strong and I just felt myself sinking, descending. And this is why I mentioned earlier that I don't believe in heaven and hell. This is why I'm going to explain to you now. Because I was sinking, but it was almost like, it didn't feel like I was descending. It felt like I was traveling. So I was traveling and I landed in this space. And aesthetically, if I describe it, you would think, oh, that sounds like hell. It was like a witch's hut that everything was red and black. Like, you know, it was like I had a filter over my eyes. Everything was red and black. There was cauldrons everywhere and just like potions. But this whole space was imbued with such magical energy. And Lilith was there. Lilith was there, but she also looked like me. It was like a reflection of me in this realm of real, like, dark, divine power. But I felt that it was Lilith. I felt that. And she said, I'm the queen of darkness. She said that to me. And she was just there with her cauldrons and just like, kind of just like blood everywhere and darkness. But it didn't feel scary. So the vibration of this space felt more potent and powerful than any kind of high vibration experience that I've ever had in my life. And I just remember being in there and being in that energy, and I was just receiving messages of things that I needed to research afterwards, like Queen of Darkness and Lilith and the story of Lilith and all of these things. So she just met me for the first time, and she didn't tell me what to do. She didn't tell me that I needed to start working with her. She didn't even tell me what to do in my life, where I was going wrong, and nothing. She was just there, presenting that energy to me, that powerful, dark, divine energy. And she was so embodied in that. She was just owning that in this place that was like red and black and something kind of out of a horror movie, but she was just so divine and owning it. She's like, yeah, I'm the mother of demons. I'm the dark divine goddess that everyone in religion fears. I'm the one that they have demonized and ostracized from society. And look at me now. I'm the one laughing because I am this powerful divine queen who crosses dimensions. and who doesn't fit into a box of spirituality, of good or evil. She just is dark divine power, dark feminine essence embodied, and so much more. And meeting her, but also her showing herself as a reflection of me, and by that I saw like my face on her, was incredibly powerful. And I didn't connect the dots at the time, but it's what unfolded afterwards and what I've really come to reflect on now, because it's been 1.5 years since I met Lilith. Well, that I can remember. There may have been times in the past when I met her, but I wasn't consciously aware of it, or maybe I just wasn't open to it. So it's been about 1.5 years. I'm just going to have another sip. So, of course, when I got home, I started researching her. She told me to research Sheba, Lilith, Queen of Darkness, Dark Divine Energy, Dark Moon, like all of this stuff started. And then I was just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And I got so excited because things started clicking to me, because I had just been on this sort of spiritual path of teaching yoga, but I felt really lost, and I felt like this just doesn't feel genuine and authentic to me. And all of this stuff started clicking. And I remember voice noting a couple of friends, and they just didn't really say anything. And I was like, oh, that's a letdown. And what I've learned from this pathway of working with Lilith is like, it is a solitary path of like self-destruction, but not in a trauma response way, of like self-destruction, of breaking yourself down to then break free. And you can't be on that path with the permission of other people. Like, it's totally like a solitary path of total destruction and self-transformation. So everything is a blessing. Like, not having that confirmation from my friends, I was just kind of like, okay. And I truly believe now that having Lilith with me as a guide, even though I wasn't actively talking with her at the time, but through meeting her, I had honored and accepted her presence and her energetic resonance in my life. She helped me to break up with my partner. And that was like one of the hardest things to do in my life. It was one of the hardest things to do in my life. When you've lived with someone for that long, there's that entanglement of your home space, and yeah, it was really, 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 really fucking hard. It took me about 6 weeks from deciding that I was absolutely 100% going to end the relationship to actually having that conversation. And yeah, I totally believe that she was with me when I was speaking to him, when I had that conversation, because I remember I was so nervous. But when the words came out, I was just like, do you know what? I don't even have much to say. I'm just going to say it as it is and put an end to this. And I truly believe that was with Lilith's influence and with her guiding me and walking by my side. So that was that. And so that all unfolded and unraveled. And I would say, as I was talking about the dark goddess energy, it's this destructive energy, absolute destruction, and our whole identity and sense of self has to be blasted to smithereens and thrown into the fiery cauldron so that we can be born anew. to me, through my experience, that is the medicine of the dark divine feminine. So it's strong, it's powerful, it's not for the faint-hearted, but at the same time, everyone needs it. The faint-hearted need it. So, as I mentioned, you know, and I don't know, because it's been just over a year now, I think, since I moved. There's been so much reflecting happening, and because the summer solstice is approaching, it's a time of celebration and of life and dancing on the earth. I feel that a lot of reflection has been happening, and I really crumbled and unraveled when I broke up with my ex. But it wasn't because I was sad. Like I'd already in my mind and in my heart, I'd already broken up with him like 6 to 8 months before the actual physical manifestation of it had happened. So I wasn't sad. There was a huge sense of freedom and relief when it happened. But because we lost our home, and for other personal reasons, which I don't feel called to share about because they involve someone in my family, I lost my home and I moved back in with a family member, and I was just totally bombarded with all of these like horrible thoughts. It was like crushing me, pushing me down and making me feel small. Like, I'm 35, I'm single again, I don't have children, like I've got no hope in life, I've failed, I'm gonna have to restart again, my business needs like life and energy blown into it, you know, all of this stuff was coming to the surface, and I felt the weight of it crushing down on me. Now I recognize it as the medicine of Lilith. She was showing me how strong the claws of conditioning and dark parasitic energies are on our mind, on our bodies, on our hearts. Because I started talking about this and saying like, oh my God, like it's crazy how much of a failure I feel when I don't truly believe that in my heart. And then I started, you know, unraveling it all and releasing that and releasing it and releasing it and releasing it and throwing it into the fire continually. And this past year has been the most powerfully transformative year of my entire life, despite losing everything. Like, technically I'm homeless right now, homeless, and just having to start again, having to piece my life back together and piece my sense of self and sense of identity back together after being very much attached and toxically intertwined to another human who wasn't in alignment with me. So it's been so... the best way I can describe it is like Lilith was by my side, holding my hand, saying, go on, jump into that fiery cauldron and just let everything that you believed about yourself burst into flames, and be patient with the rebirth. Be patient with the rebirth, because this is also something I wanted to talk about, is so many people that I work with, and also this is not our fault, it is a side effect of the conditioning of modern society, by the way. So many of us want instant results and instant change and fast action, fast change, because that's what we are offered, you know, with a miracle pill or something that we're sold on Instagram. But in reality, when we think about the divine feminine, I think of the earth, Mother Nature. How slow is she? And how unfuckwithable is she? She's strong. She moves slowly at her own pace, at her own cycles, at her own rhythms. She's unpredictable, but she's also very nurturing and solid and secure and reliable. And this is just what I've learnt from working with Lilith and surrendering to the dark divine feminine, surrendering to the chaos and the uncertainty and finding the magic and the excitement within that. And just taking the pressure off, What's the rush? What is the rush? What is the rush to get from A to B? And in actuality, we are often in a rush because we haven't slowed down enough to appreciate how far we've come. Because when we do that, we actually realize, like, whoa, so much has happened in a year. You know, it's so easy for us to get distracted and not appreciate the magic. It was only in September last year that I created my one-to-one witch activation, which is a one-to-one quantum energy expansion session and so much more. If you're interested, you can go to mystichearts.org/witch. So I only put that as a service on my website last September, and I've had more than 50 one-to-one bookings now. So thank you so much. Thank you, everyone who has booked a session with me. It's been an honor to guide you, and sometimes I'm like, how is this actually happening to me? It's incredible. And it was because of that crumbling and that surrendering and allowing myself to identify as a witch despite the witch wounds in my matriarchal lineage, despite the fear around that, despite the religious conditioning into calling witches demonic and devil worshippers. There is a lot, you know, around witchcraft. All of the women who were brutally had their lives taken from them over many lifetimes, having to embrace all of that and still show up and say, I am a witch. I am a woman in total control of herself. I am embodying my magic. And because of that, because of my own embodiment, I was able to create that offering, and people were attracted to that energy. And I'm forever thankful and grateful for the influence of Lilith and the dark divine feminine for guiding me on my path to my own witch awakening. And this huge transformation that I'm still going through. It's amazing. It's beautiful. And some of you who've been around for a while, also last year I kept having this vision of a dark elf, and I thought it was a man at first, and I kept having this vision, and then I was guided, like, this needs to be a painting and you need to paint this for yourself as a gift to yourself. And when I sat down and started channeling it, because I channel paintings of beings, it came out as this dark divine female elf with a big rose here. And then I was like, oh, wow. So yeah, she comes through in mysterious ways. And why this is related to how I rescued myself, the last content I did, like the last video that I did, well, she is how I rescued myself, with that guidance by my side, but for me to surrendering and opening up to the darker side of life. And it's funny because surrendering to my darkness and my pain and being really honest with myself has made me feel happier and lighter and brighter. It's made me feel younger and more beautiful, more sexy, more empowered, more confident. And this is why I have my own personal issues and discrepancies about certain spiritual groups and religions, because it is the worshipping of an external God, which, by the way, I believe is false, because I believe true God is source energy, which is loving and compassionate and creative, not a God that judges us for our sins, by the way. God is not judgment. No. Creation is just this loving force. So I'm wary of that, because it tells us that we have to ascend and we have to be these perfect high vibrational angels. But what that causes is a community and an environment of falsehood and bypassing, and very vulnerable people who are very susceptible to being brainwashed and manipulated. I've been there. I've been there. And it also gives off this belief system that there's something inherently wrong with us, and that we must keep raising our vibration to be more angelic and be more perfect, when actuality, divinity is raw and real and strong and rugged. That's where the power is, calling upon earth for our strength. So yeah, I've really found that within myself, and found that there's strength in boundaries, and also there's so much strength in following what I believe in, even if someone else says it's wrong or it's evil, but following myself. And it's taken me a long time to actually have the strength to stand up for what I believe in, but not from a place of like anger or trying to prove something. Now I'm just like, if you don't believe what I believe in, then that's cool. Like, you do you. I'm here, happy, healthy, empowered, following my truth, and free and liberated from fear. So, yeah. And working with the dark divine goddesses has absolutely helped me on that path. Absolutely. And when I say I'm choosing love, that's what I mean. Love isn't all light and high vibration. Love is the full spectrum. We are humans right now, and we are experiencing what I believe to be a very low level, dense vibration of reality. So we are surrounded by lots of dark forces, parasitic entities. So we're experiencing that. So we got to learn how to fight that and embrace that and embrace the dark side within us, so that we can become true warriors of that full spectrum of darkness to light. So that's what I wanted to share today. Just basically wanted to big up Lilith. And I do feel called to work more with the dark goddesses now. I do feel that some kind of new reading or service will be birthing from me soon, which is going to be working with some of the dark goddesses. So watch this space for that. And yeah, so I just wanted to share that experience, and letting you know that it's okay to honour your dark side. No one's judging you. No one is judging you other than yourself, other than those voices in your head. And if you're beating yourself up because you feel like you've done something that's not spiritual enough, please don't. Please love yourself a little bit more. Please love yourself. We're just learning. We're learning and we're growing. We're experiencing. We're dancing with life. Be like Lilith. Zero fucks. Unfuckwithable. She has been labelled as the devil incarnate, demonic, the mother of demons, evil, the goddess of hell. And she owns that. She loves it. And that is why I love her energy, because that is the embodiment that I'm aiming for. to be so rooted and embodied in my truth that nothing, no external voice or energy, anything can say to me that can break me, that can break me down. That is the energy I'm going for. I don't want to fit in to a belief system or society. No, I want to be so embodied in my own individual experience that I can empower and inspire others to do the same for themselves, because this is what Mystic Hearts is all about. It's not about me healing you. It's not about me telling you the secrets of the universe. I am here to show up embodied in my truth as deeply and authentically as I can be, in hopes to activate that coding within you, so that then you can embody your own authentic truth and expression within yourself. Of course, I'm here to support you with any healing or guidance along the way, but it's your journey. You've got to be the one to take the reins and say, this is going to be painful. There's going to be moments where I'm questioning life and I really feel like I'm hitting rock bottom, but there's only one way up from the bottom. And that's truly where the magic happens. When you get to that breaking point where you feel like your whole freaking life has shattered and fallen apart, you get to rebuild following your rules. You get to rebuild into anything that you want. And that's where it gets really exciting. And now you can see how passionate I get talking about Lilith. So, I hope you enjoyed this today. If you're new here, thank you so much for being here. Please do hit the thumbs up, subscribe, share, hype, all of that good juicy stuff. It really helps me. And if you're not new here, I love you. Thank you for being here. Let me know what your reflections are about this. Are you familiar with Lilith? What does that word evoke in you when I say dark divine goddess or mother of demons? Let me know. And would you like me to talk more about Lilith or more dark divine goddesses? Let me know what you would like me to share, and yeah, I'd love to help you with that. And if you are really activated and inspired by this video today, I would love to invite you to join me for an 8-week group training course called Embody Your Magic. It is launching at the end of September this year. It's going to be a small group. There's only 7 places left, and we're going to meet every week for 90 minutes for a very deep and powerful journey where you are going to learn the tools of how to heal and transform yourself, mind, body, heart, spirit, and beyond, to embody your magic on your own authentic journey. So that would be amazing. If you do want to join me, you can visit mystichearts.org/training or check the comments and I'll share the link there. If you book between now and the 30th of June, you'll get £100 off. So don't miss out on that big early bird discount. If you are interested, get in there quickly and grab your space because there's limited numbers. So have the most magical, divine, transformative day. I'm always here to support you and sending you so much love from my heart to yours.